Welcome back to Saturday Social. We are joined by Dougie and Paul. OK, Joe has a big smile on his face because we're going to talk about the relegation battle now, aren't we, Joe?
Yeah, we are.
The relegation battle is heating up. It does look like that third spot is going to go right down to the wire.
Who's 18th at the moment?
I can reveal by looking at the Premier League table. Incredibly, the monster of a football club, the champions of Europe, Tottenham Hotspur, do find themselves, unfortunately for me, in the relegation zone. Now, for context, that's the first time since 2009, I believe, not factoring in the first day of the season, that Tottenham find themselves in the bottom three. It is so close. Look at all the teams in and around there, from Leeds United down. So it gave us a little bit of an idea, didn't we, which we tasked Dougie with this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a look at those 6 relegation-threatened stars that we previously had highlighted, from Leeds all the way down to Burnley. And we've tasked you, Dougie, today with picking a transfer for each of the biggest relegation-threatened stars. So we're not saying these players will leave, but if they were to go down, where would be a good potential club for them?
OK. Well, before you take the Mickey out of Smithy a bit more, he actually has experience of the relegation battle last year, Smithy,
Good point,
as well.
Dougie. Yeah.
And look at them now. So it can change
while we're
quick.
talking about last year, I've still got Bilbao.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
Really good.
But we've already talked about him in the first segment of the show, but Elliot Anderson, I think he'll be probably the most desirable player out of any of the potential relegated clubs this summer. As you mentioned, huge defensive output, but he's also first for passes completed amongst midfielders, first for dribbles completed. He's 8th for chances created, only 2 fewer than Florian Wirtz. I think the place for him is Man City. I know Man United want him,
not happy.
but Rodri is openly flirting with Real Madrid. Bernardo Silva is potentially leaving this summer. John Stones is potentially leaving, so he fills a homegrown quota as well. And even with Man United's revival, if you got the chance to go to Man City or Man United, I think you're going to Man City.
Wow.
Oh, come on. Can we not manifest this? Look, the thing about the Man City thing is, does he go there and become a first 11 player, or is he the next one of those Man City players? You know, like Chelsea have always had that player who goes there and doesn't quite, just goes there and makes up the numbers, doesn't he? I'm worried that he would get swamped at Man City.
Just quickly, a lot of this is if they get relegated. Do you both feel like this is actually one of the very few on the board that will happen regardless of what happens to Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, he's been so good this season, there's absolutely no way that Elliot Anderson is staying at Nottingham Forest.
OK, stick it up. Okay. Next up, interesting one, Jarrod Bowen.
If it goes down?
If he goes down now, I mean, firstly, what would Danny Dyer say if Jarrod Bowen left?
Exactly, and I can imagine a scenario where he actually stays with West Ham, such as his connection with the club, but I think Aston Villa is a potential option for him.
Ooh.
Because he's approaching his 30s, I don't know whether a established top 6 or one of the big boys, necessarily, stereotypical big boys, before Villa fans get annoyed with me, goes for him. But this is a guy that scored over 10 goals in all competitions for the last 5 seasons. And if you look at Aston Villa, they've got Jadon Sancho on loan, they've got Leon Bailey, who doesn't play, they've got Harvey Elliott, who's going back to Liverpool, having not played. They loaned Evan Gesson to Crystal Palace. Daniel Marlin's left the club. They're actually really thin on forward options. He could play as a striker instead of Ollie Watkins. He could play on the right-hand side with Ollie Watkins. They're potentially losing Morgan Rogers. They kind of need a star arrival this summer, and I don't think Jarrod Bowen, if West Ham went down, would cost that much money either.
OK, let's stick him up. Keep rolling on. And this is where we get to the first dagger to Smithy's heart. Cristian Romero. If they were to go down, even if they weren't to go down, potentially.
I mean, we're talking about a centre-back. I mean, we're talking about Spurs players that have lost 37 Premier League games since the start of last season. I don't know whether Cristian Romero gets a move to a Barcelona or Real Madrid, even an Atletico Madrid. But I think he could potentially get a move to Napoli, who've had a difficult season, but their second most used centre-back is Juan Jesus, who's 34. They clearly need to look beyond him. And Antonio Conte has played a 4 at back this year, but he has been known as a 5. Cristian Romero made his name playing in the centre of Atalanta's back 5 with the freedom to go on and attack and distribute the ball. He's clearly not been happy at Spurs this year. Someone should take away his phone for sure. But I think Napoli is the kind of right landing spot for him right now. I'm not sure he can aim much higher.
Paul, what are your thoughts on Cristian Romero?
I think, Italian football, obviously, we know it suits him, and that makes sense to me. It's whether he's just a little bit too aggressive for the Premier League. You know, like sometimes you need to go to a league that kind of likes that a bit more. I guess that would make sense to me.
Obviously, Romero, there's been links. You've got Van De Ven as well. I'm not happy with the amount of Spurs players you've got in it.
Big club,
this is
big club.
massive club, good point.
You would get raided, though. You would get raided if you went down.
Yeah, but this is obviously if we go down. So Van De Ven, Talk to me about where you think, again, if he was to go, you'd be.
Well, he missed
perfect
basically
fit.
the entirety of last season and actually had a lot of injuries the season before. But this year he's been fit pretty much non-stop. But I actually think his form has dropped off more significantly than kind of any of Spurs' major players this year. I really don't think he's been anywhere near his best. But if he was to move, I think Juventus is a really good landing spot. Juventus only Inter have scored more goals than them in the league, but 5 teams have conceded fewer. And if you look along their backline, aside from Bremer, who's often injured, the quality of their centre-backs with Kalulu and Gatti and Lloyd Kelly, it's not that high. I think Spalletti would love working with someone like Micky Van De Ven. And whilst Liverpool would have made sense maybe 12 months ago, I just don't think his form deserves a move to a top Premier League, Champions League club right now.
How good do you think Micky Van De Ven is, Paul? Let's have it, because there's been this chat, obviously, but when he came through at Spurs, amazing few seasons. He's had injuries. He was brilliant in the Europa League final. There was the incident with Palace, but a lot of Spurs fans look at him as the potential that he has to be potentially one of the best. But there is a lot of talk about his form. Where do you lie on how good a player Micky Van De Ven is?
I think he's great. I think his issues are the one talking about is just on the fitness thing and whether, because the pace that he's got and how much of an asset
Pace is
is
frightening.
that. Absolutely. I think he's excellent. I really wish Liverpool would be in for him this
He's
summer,
heavily linked with you guys.
And going back to Dougie's chat about Liverpool playing 3 at the back, a left of a 3 for Liverpool would fit him perfectly. Actually doing a bit at left back with Kirkes if he needed a bit more stability in there would fit perfectly. So yeah, I don't think his ability's in question for me. Is just its availability, and having had those issues, are they the kind of thing that are going to go away, or have you got a limited window of running them? And obviously we know how intense the Premier League is. Again, another one, a move to Italian football, a bit of a slower pace. I mean, he would be absolutely ludicrous, his pace in that league. So no, that could suit him, but I'd like to see him at Liverpool.
One thing I'll say, from as a Spurs fan's perspective, there has, yes, form with a lot of the players has been an issue because we're in the relegation zone. Of course it has, but there has been games when I watch Micky Van De Ven and go, wow, he has got so much to his game from an attacking point of view, defensive point of view, goal scoring. I think he's our second top goal scorer in all competitions. We're talking about a top player there.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Joao Gomes then, because he is heavily linked with the exit door as well. A little bit like Elliot Anderson, regardless of whether they go down or not, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be a cheaper option than Elliot Anderson for a lot of Premier League clubs, but I actually think Atletico Madrid could be a good move for him because Griezmann's announced he's leaving and they signed Adam Lukman in January. They signed Alex Baena last summer, so they're kind of covered with Griezmann replacements. But Koke is 34, Marcus Llorente's in his 30s now as well. Conor Gallagher's already back in England with that move not having worked out. So they do need someone in the centre of the park. And Joao Gomes, I think, is a really underrated player. I know he's maybe gone under the radar this year because he's, playing for a Wolves side that up until December were really quite a poor side. But his tackles are all absolutely massive. I think he's underrated on the ball as well. I think that partnership with Andre is probably the best part of Wolves when they're at their best. So Atletico Madrid would feel like a nice landing spot.
Second most possession of any player in the Premier League this season, by the way. I think going under the radar is a very good way to...
It's very Simeone, I think, isn't he? He's very Simeone, Joao Gomes. This next one, Dukes, I have to say, is one of the rogue... As a Sunderland fan, I wonder if that's the reason we're going to head back to here.
What are you going to say, the rogue shouts?
It's one of the roguest shouts on the board, this.
OK.
It is one of the roguest shouts on the board.
No, on the show.
I couldn't do any form of YouTube video without bringing up Sunderland at some stage. And Morgan Gibbs-White at Sunderland. I'm dreaming here. Look,
Dukes, this is not even dreaming. This is...
For the last 4 years, he's contributed over 10 league goals and assists. He's really, really consistent, but he has dropped out of England reckoning with Forest struggles. This is if Forest go down. I don't think this happens if they stay up, of course. Yeah. But Sunderland, we do need to take the next step. We do need to sign a little bit more higher quality. Morgan Gibbs-White's in the peak of his career. We are looking in this position. We are linked with Sergio Arribas, who plays for Almeria, used to play for Real Madrid. He's now with Almeria. He's the top scorer in the Spanish second tier, and he's a left-footed number 10. So we're clearly looking in that area. Enzo Lefebvre has been phenomenal this year, but if you had someone like Morgan Gibbs-White to start, maybe Lefebvre playing on the left-hand side, we can think about Europe. And we're only 3 points off 7th as it stands, Smithy. So we can get in these conversations.
Gibbs-White to Sunderland, what are your thoughts?
I mean, we laughed when we said Michael Olise to Liverpool.
Yeah, we did.
We laughed heartily. He feels like a Man United buy to me, Morgan Gibbs-White.
Does he?
To be honest, yeah. Or is he the next one who follows on, becomes the new McTominay over in Italy? He's going to be an absolute superstar.
Okay.
Somewhere else, Sunderland. Yeah.
Let's stick Sunderland on the board.
Let the man dream. Let the man dream.
Mateus Fernandes, obviously heavily linked with the exit door as well. Ooh. And, West Ham flirting with the drop. So you're thinking Liverpool?
I'm thinking Liverpool. This isn't necessarily as a starter, but I feel like Curtis Jones might leave this summer because he's never really been trusted to start consistently week in, week out. Obviously, Endo doesn't seem like he's got a future pressure at Liverpool, particularly under Arne Slot. Bajcetic, we'll see what sort of player he turns into as well. But Mateus Fernandes has gone really under the radar this year. I think he's completed over 40 more tackles than any of his West Ham teammates. I watched him in person at the Olympic Stadium against my team Sunderland, and he played us off the park. He can do absolutely everything. Still only 21. I don't think he's the sort of player that would come in and necessarily guaranteed to start for Liverpool, but he's got such a big growth part of his career to come. And I don't think he would cost all that much as well. And Liverpool need someone that can play as a bit of a 6, play as a bit of an 8, more grit in midfield. They are far too easy to play through.
Paul, Liverpool fan, would you take this?
I agree with that, actually. I think it's more of a McAllister replacement than a Jones, I'd say. I think if we're talking about McAllister's legs maybe going, he's half linking himself to a move to Spain as well, just rocking up in Real Madrid shirts for a laugh in his off time. So cool. Fernandes feels like a nice sort of hybrid between the 6 and the 8.
Okay, they're both happy with that one.
Really good player. Next up, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If Leeds were to go down.
Leeds are out of it. They're still very much in this.
Very much in touching distance, and they've got some key injuries at the moment. They've got an FA Cup semi-final to look forward to as well, but don't want to get distracted in the league. But if they do go down, Crystal Palace, it feels like JP Mateta is probably going to leave this summer. He's been touting himself for a move to Serie A for a long time. They brought in Strand Larsen for big money in January. He's played really, really well. I think he's proven a lot of people wrong. Dominic Calvert-Lewin would be an amazing backup for a side like Crystal Palace, and quite different to Strand Larsen as well. You know, much more of a penalty box operator, playing with the likes of Yeremy Pino, who, watching him in person on Thursday, I was amazed by his impact off the bench. He's Milasar too. I think he could score a lot of goals for Palace.
Okay.
Get Duncan Ferguson in as a coach as well, though, to get the best out of him.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't he? 10 goals, 1 assist for Calvert-Lewin.
This is another one of your rogue shouts up next, dudes. Anton Stach, who
I don't think it's rogue at all, Joe.
Leeds to United is a very, very rare path trodden.
We've seen Cantona, we've seen Rio Ferdinand, we've seen Alan Smith.
Yeah.
We've seen Gordon McQueen.
3 players in nearly 40 years you've named there.
I mean, they all made a big impact, less so Alan Smith, but Cantona and Rio Ferdinand in particular. Man United need 2 midfielders this summer. I'm not saying that this is the key midfielder, but Casemiro's leaving. Agate's being linked with Juventus. I don't think anyone would miss Agate too much at Man United. They clearly need more midfielders. Anton Stach has had a brilliant year. He can play as a centre-back as well. I think it's 4 goals and 3 assists. Only Bruno Fernandes has created more chances than Anton Stach in the entire Premier League. Great set-piece taker, as you say. I think it's 4 direct free kicks this year. He can put a challenge in. I don't think he'd mind being rotated at Man United. The issue, as you point out, Leeds are not going to want to sell to Man United.
Yeah. Do you think that's the big issue here, that it's not that common that we see players move from those 2 clubs?
I think that, definitely matters. My issue with it is it's far too sensible for Manchester United. Surely some sort of overpriced, overaged superstar who hasn't quite got it beyond 1 season is what they really want.
Hey, come on, the recruitment. Hey, let's put some respect on the current recruitment. The summer recruitment, now you look back on it, pretty good.
Been all right, to be fair.
Better than all right. Next up.
Pause there, wasn't it?
So Joe's seething over there. Yeah, we'll just give him some space.
Okay, we'll give you some space.
Next up, Murillo.
Murillo, Nottingham Forest, Murillo. Now, this might feel a bit random, but supposedly Barcelona want a left-sided centre-back this summer. Now, apparently they want Nico Schlotterbeck of Dortmund. The backup option is apparently Pau Torres of Aston Villa. I think a lot of clubs will want Nico Schlotterbeck, so he might not go to Barcelona. Maybe Pau Torres ends up at Barcelona. They need a new left-sided centre-back. I think Tyrone Mings been a great Premier League servant, but probably not at the level required for Aston Villa going forward. Murillo is so fun to watch. He's quite chaotic. He reminds me a bit of Antonio Rudiger in his prime. You know, this is a guy that's taken 6 shots from outside the box this season, but amazing duel winner, and actually has great anticipation of where danger is going to be. There's been quite a few goal line clearances, not least against, I think it was Man City a few weeks ago in that draw.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a great addition for an Aston Villa side that need a new left-sided centre-back.
Okay, sticking down.
Interesting.
Next, I'm pleased we're talking about the next player because obviously Wolves have had a very disappointing season. They're rock bottom of the table, but again, they've seemed to have found another superstar, which is quite regularly you've seen with the likes of Cunha coming through and players in the past, but a top talent, Mane, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. He's Portuguese born, but he moved to Manchester at 8 and then played for Rochdale, and then Wolves signed him a couple of years ago. But it was I think his first start was against you guys in December time, and he had a great December. I think he scored in back-to-back games. He's maybe faded a little bit in the last few weeks, which is probably to be expected for an 18-year-old. But a move to a club like Bournemouth, who have such a good reputation for developing talents, you know, Howson, Zabani, Semenyo, Kirkes, Alex Scott this season, Krupi. It's a great landing spot for an 18-year-old, and I don't think he'd have to start every week, so he could just develop into
for his development. Yeah. Third youngest scorer in the Premier League this season after Dowman and Ngamoa. So when you're talking about those players, clearly some talent.
He was linked to you as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. I wouldn't turn my nose up at having him as a squad option. Certainly, the Bournemouth chat makes sense, and I think you could chuck Brighton in there as well as another one of those teams that are good at developing that kind of talent.
Okay, so now you might need some help with the magnets there, Paul.
Here we go. The
no,
Tottenham
we're
running.
happy with this.
We love a Tottenham
Right,
running, don't we?
Yeah.
Mohammed Kudus.
Can I just say as well, from a Spurs fan's perspective, that I think this has been a real part of our form. I know that it's been a disappointing season, but look at the form, how it's dipped since Kudus has been injured. And obviously, you had the press conference from Tudor saying he's back to fitness, and then we had the other news this week from De Zerbi saying he's now looks like he might need surgery. I think that's been a massive factor in Spurs' recent form, not having Kudus available.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll come on to two more players, Maddison, Kulusevski, not having Kudus. I mean, that is pretty gutting for any team, isn't it? And Kudus started the season really well. He got 2 assists on his Premier League debut against Burnley. And he got 6, I think, goal contributions in his first 7 games. And you were unbeaten in the 3 prior to his injury. I just don't think you'd be in this position if Kudus had been able to play all season.
Agreed.
But the Everton move, look, this is going to annoy a lot of Spurs fans, but this is the scenario if Spurs go down.
If they go down.
If they go down, Everton have a £50 million buy option on Jack Grealish. I think they'll try and negotiate that because Jack Grealish has only got 1 year left on his Man City contract. He's on 300 grand a week as well. There is speculation that Illiman and Jai would interest a lot of top clubs. I think someone like Mohammed Kudus would be an amazing starter, squad option for Everton. And if Everton are wanting to be ambitious, new stadium, continue the progression they've got under Moyes this year, I think Kudus is exactly the sort of addition they should make.
Punchy move that, Paul, for you?
Everton are a bigger football club than Tottenham.
Oh, behave.
And that's coming from the Liverpool fan.
Hey, listen,
Why did you laugh in my face when you said that statement?
because I know you don't agree.
You think Kudus could potentially play a little bit higher, Smiths?
Anyone else? Do you got anything? Where we go next? Oh, another Spurs player.
Step up away from
Xavi
Spurs?
Simmons.
Xavi
Here we go.
Simons.
If we get relegated, this is just like to reiterate this, if we go down.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because I think like Florian Wirtz, which we already mentioned, Xavi Simons has been so much better in the Champions League than the Premier League this year. I think that's key to note. In the
He's had
Premier
some
League,
brilliant performances in the Champions League.
really good, particularly against Atletico Madrid. But in the Premier League, he's like a lot of players when they're new to the league, looked a little bit off the pace and maybe sort of lacking in confidence at key moments as well. AC Milan is an interesting move in that perspective because Rafa Leao is strongly linked with the move out of the club. He reacted really badly when Allegri subbed him the other day. Supposedly, Milan are looking at 50, 60 million euros, which feels like a bit of a bargain for a player of that potential in Rafa Leao, although maybe there is too much potential and not enough evidence so far on Rafa Leao's front. Xavi Simons would be a brilliant addition for Milan. Look, obviously Spurs are not going to sell all these players if they go down, but they are far too good for the Championship. You know, Xavi Simons was amazing for Leipzig, amazing for PSV, has experience playing for PSG and Barcelona as a youngster. He's just too good for the Championship.
So, you picked this list here. Xavi Simons, Dejan Kulusevski and James Maddison. Do you legitimately think if Spurs go down, they'll keep none of these guys?
I think they'll probably have to keep a couple of them because, you know, they do need to come back up pretty immediately, don't they?
Yeah, they're not going to sell all these 6
But
players.
who's going to be happy with playing in the Championship?
Mark, isn't it? Can you keep all these 6 players if you go down?
If you go down,
Well, I think from that perspective, Kulusevski and Maddison, from a personal perspective, are in the worst position, having spent a year injured. Xavi Simons, I think, will have interest from Europe. You will probably take a big loss on him. But he's already had a year there, so he'll probably cost, I don't know, £40 million if you're in the Championship or something, which is quite a lot for AC Milan. But it feels like a bit of an exodus if
this
you do
is
go
so
down.
crazy to be talking about.
I know. And we go to the last 2, which categorically, if these 2 players had been fit, we wouldn't be having this conversation because Kulusevski and Maddison, 0 minutes between them this season has been devastating for Tottenham. You've got Kulusevski if we were to go down. Oh, break my heart.
Dortmund, this is a rogue.
To Dortmund, I think it might look rogue on paper, but Julian Brandt is coming to the end of 7 years there from Bayer Leverkusen, joined Borussia Dortmund. He's been a brilliant servant, can play on the right, can play centrally, can play on the left. Kulusevski, you know, with Adeyemi sort of emerging, not that consistent. Maxi Byers had a great year as well. Someone like Kulusevski, he's still only 25. And when he is fit, which is too rare, I do think he's looked at times like one of the best players in the Premier League. Like, ask any Man City fan, he destroys them every time he plays them.
A big game player as well. It's a great
game.
Always turns out the big games. 10 goals and 11 assists in all comps last season. Created the most chances for Spurs. Kulusevski, when fit, is a fantastic player.
The biggest shame is his first 6 months at Spurs when he was on loan under Conte. I think he got 13 goals and assists in 18 games. That was the best period of his career. And because of injuries, he's never really kicked on as you'd expect. But I think for Dortmund, a player of that experience, of that calibre, I think he'd be a big
Yeah.
addition.
Fingers crossed he can get fit again as well. 'Cause it's
definitely.
Such a shame.
And
Same could be said for
Madders, yeah.
for James
For
Maddison.
Maddison, I feel really old when I looked at this earlier, but James Maddison will be 30 this year. It does feel like he doesn't feel like he's maybe achieved as much as he could have given his talent. I mean, this is a guy that's won the FA Cup with Leicester, he's won the Europa League with Spurs, but too many injury issues. I think when he is fully fit, he's a guarantee of sort of 15 goals and assists per season in the Premier League.
Such a good player.
But is he going to get into the England squad now with Bellingham, with Palmer, with Foden, with Rodgers, with Eze? I don't think so. You know, is a top 6 or established top 6 club, unlike Spurs this season, going to go for him? I'm not quite so sure. Inter Milan, you know, Barella's had a poor season. Mkhitaryan still started 13 games this year. He's 37. Kalinoglu's in his 30s. Zielinski's in his 30s. It would elongate his career, and in a slightly easier paced game, I think the technical quality that Maddison has would really come to the fore as well. And Inter Milan, you know, people can turn their nose up at it. Massive club, far greater recent success than Spurs, and historically bigger than Spurs too. So I think it'd be a great move for him.
Didn't win the Europa League last season, but I know what you mean.
12
goals.
In the last three, yeah.
12 goals and 10 assists last season in all comps for Madders.
As you look at that board, Paul, which move do you think is most likely to happen of Dougie's predictions?
I think the Elliot Anderson to Man City one's probably
Dear.
up there. I wouldn't mind seeing Maddison. You know, we've done the Everton shouts already there. You've got to think about his YouTube channel as well. You know, got to make a good move, strong move there as well. Yeah.
Who do you think, quickly, is the third team that gets relegated then? Presuming it's Wolves and Burnley, who is the third team for you, Dukes?
To be honest, I'd hope it was Forest on the basis of their recruitment and going through 4 managers. Having said that, you've had 3. I think West Ham are the form side at the moment, so I'm most confident West Ham will survive.
Okay.
Yeah, Forest. For you.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you, Paul. I think.
Okay. Fingers crossed, Smithy.
Thanks, mate.
Fingers
There
crossed.
we
We
go.
don't dig it in too much, do we? And there we can see confirmation of Dougie's picks for players that could go down. If they go down, where could they end up?